Welcome to the Southern Report. Thank you so much for giving me the privilege of your time again. It is much appreciated. One of the delights of doing this show is being able to inform people and be able to inform people through incredible guests. If you are not, or if you're still sleeping behind a rock, you will understand that there is a very important by-election going on. And I now have the privilege to bring on a very good, amongst other things, podcaster, MBE, Nick Buckley, and also Advance UK's candidate for the Gorton and Denton by-election. Nick, what an absolute pleasure to sit down and have a conversation with you. And I just want to thank you so much for joining me. It is very much appreciated, sir.
And well, thank you for the invitation. I'm trying to get as much press out there as possible. So, and this podcast, you're doing me the favor. So thank you.
Nick, that's very, very kind of you. So I just want to shout out that you have just made a fantastic 3-minute, I think 26 video of the local boy, I'm going to call it, and just going around the area that you know extremely well because you are the local boy, Gorton and Denton, and explaining your history and why you care for that area. And I feel as though I should have found the Rocky theme tune to bring you on, because I just thought as a filmmaker it was inspiring. So very, very well done. Nick, what's your history with the area? We can unpack that video, but unpack so much more. Over to you, sir.
Well, I'm exactly what you said. I'm the local lad. I'm the local candidate, born and raised in the area. Most of my family still live in the area, including siblings, including aunties and cousins. Many of my friends, I went to school in the area. My primary school is in there. My secondary school is in there. When I set a charity up, I based it in the area. I've worked on the local markets when I was in my early 20s in the area. So when it comes to a local candidate, you know, I am that person. And even when I worked decades later, worked for the council, Manchester Council, Gorton was part of my area as well at some point. So I worked with the Gorton police on the streets, stopping kids getting involved in crime. I've done that work throughout the whole area with my charity. That's what my charity was about, stopping kids being pulled into crime and making the wrong decisions. So I know the area like the back of my hand.
And Nick, in regard to the sort of breakdown of economic income, it's quite a mixture, isn't it? And Nick, explain to me, why is it that areas vote for a particular party for a long time, but may not see that area grow in the positivity that we need, or that area definitely needs? What are your thoughts?
This is all about tribalism, because we seem to forget sometimes we're just tribal animals. You know, we may think we're clever than we are because we have an iPhone in our pocket, but we don't know how it works. We just press the buttons. We're tribal animals. So political parties understand that, and they message us over decades and decades to ensure our loyalty. So a good example would be Labour. So Labour have no incentive to have people in their area be successful, be rich, and achieve. Because if they do that, they then stop voting for Labour. So Labour's incentives to keep their areas poor and deprived, so Labour can get their vote, so Labour then can blame the establishment, you know, capitalism, and blame other people why they're poor. But the truth is, Labour keeps them poor, so they'll vote Labour. And the same sort of thing happened with the Tories. You know, Tories are always talking about, you know, the socialists are going to kill us, the socialists are going to take all your money. Well, all our politics is based on fear. Hardly anybody ever votes anymore for what they want. They tend to vote against what they don't want. And if you never vote for what you want, how are you ever going to get what you want if you never vote for it? But that's the fear tactic all political parties use, and have been using for decades and decades.
And Nick, what you're talking about is aspiration. How do we change that? This is a mindset you want to change. I know that. But how do we change that? What are the things that you want to put in place? How do we get those jobs back in? How do we get young people? You've worked in youth work with young people for a long period of time. Drawing on that experience, what can you do in that area?
The biggest thing we can do is shrink the size of the state. That will over time fix many of our problems. The reason why we have so many problems is because the state is involved. Because the state, since the Second World War, has decided that they know better than us. They can raise our families and our children better than we can. They can make our choices better than we can. And we've got to this stage now where we look back and we go, you can't make any decisions correctly as a government. You're incompetent. And I've worked in government. They are incompetent. So that's the biggest thing we need to do. I want more personal responsibility. I want the responsibility for me, my family, my street, my neighborhood. I want that responsibility. And if I make mistakes, and there's a very good chance we'll all make mistakes and things go wrong, well, I'll have to live with that. But at least I made that decision. And if I make that decision and it goes wrong, well, it means I can change it because I made that decision in the first place. But if you hand over all your power and all your personal responsibility over to the state and they make mistakes, absolutely nothing you can do. You can't change anything. So we need that power as local as possible. So local people make the decisions for themselves. They may make decisions we don't agree with. Well, do you know what? So be it. It's their lives, their street, their community. So they can make decisions we don't agree with, but it's right for them. And I want to get back to the stage where English men and women were kings and queens of their own castles and their own domain, and the state was tiny. But we've turned into a semi-socialist state now. But when anything goes wrong, all of us are guilty of this. When anything goes wrong, we all go, what's the government going to do about this? And the answer is, I don't want the government doing anything about it. We should be fixing these problems. We should be doing it. That's how we start changing this country.
It's very interesting because we do need to go over history. As a great history buff myself, we need to read that. And I'd encourage anyone to look at the Clement Attlee government just after the Second World War. There are references of a big state. So, Nick, again, referring to the video and the local boy, and if I've read my facts correct, there's 120,000 residents within the incredible constituency of Gorton and Denton. What has it been like, the experience of going around, meeting people, knocking on doors and explaining who you are?
It's been great. We've had hardly any abuse. Most of the abuse, well, all the abuse I'm getting is online, but you sort of expect that. It's not a clear-cut race, this at all. Labour, Greens and Reform are fighting tooth and nail for this. And I'll be proven right or wrong on Friday morning. But my take of this is Reform are not doing as well as they think. The Greens aren't doing as well as they think. Labour are doing better than we all think. And my campaign is getting stronger and stronger as every day goes by. And we'll see where I finished. You know, we're still the outsiders, Advance UK and me. You know, we're still the outsiders. I'm not deluded. But at the moment, anyone can win this race. And someone's going to win this race maybe on 23% of the turnout, which isn't a lot at all.
No. And the turnout in the 4th of July election in 2024 was quite low. I mean, we know across the country that nearly 40% of people that had the right to vote decided not to vote, which is extremely sad and alarming, and just shows the disaffection, Nick.
It was even lower in this area. Turnout in this area was 48%.
Wow. Asking maybe why do you again, does that just plug into the disaffection and people just feel disillusioned?
Yeah, that's one of the big things I'm getting. People are sick of this by-election in the area to begin with, because every man and his donkey is walking around giving out leaflets, knocking on doors. Everyone's sick of it because they're saying, I've been here 50 years, I've never seen any of you before, and suddenly you're here telling me you're going to fix my problems. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you stand for. I'm getting, people are saying that to us as well. People are sick of it. People are sick of the by-election. They know deep down inside they're being used as a political football. They know all politicians lie, and they do. They know you can't trust any politician, and you can't. They've been lied to for that long and promised so much and always been let down. They're angry. I had a guy in a pub yesterday shouting at me, shouting at my team. And it was just pure frustration pure frustration that he didn't know who we were. He didn't know our policies. I think he thought we were Labour because he was going on about pedos and and there's no point getting involved in an argument with him, because I wanted to say to him, well, I've stopped 15 girls being raped with my charity work. So, I'm not a pedo apologist at all. I've had paedophiles arrested and prosecuted, but he didn't want to hear any of that. He seemed someone who thought were politicians, and he wanted to rant at him about how angry he is and how crap his life is and how disappointed he is, and he's got no aspiration, and things are just getting worse and worse. And he has a right to be angry, and they all have a right to be angry. And that's what I'm finding on the streets. Lots of people are still saying, I'm not voting, plague on all your houses. Wow. And other people are saying, no, I'm just sick of the by-election. I'm sick of being lied to. I'm sick of all politicians. And you can't blame them.
How have the hustings been, Nick?
Well, I was only invited to two. The big ones was at Manchester Evening News, was at ITV and the BBC. Only half the candidates were invited to them. So the big ones, Labour, Conservative, Lib Dems, Greens, Reform. I expected that. The mainstream media do this all the time. They never do fair hustings. They only get the big names, the big parties, and they leave everybody else out in the cold. So I've only attended two. And they were fine. People were all right. Left-wing audiences. But you still got to go and face those people and tell them what you're standing for.
So, Nick, and I've heard you discuss this, and I think it's really important to re-emphasize this. So the things that you would put in place, that you want to put in place, like as you said, meeting your constituencies, you're on about having 11 meetings a year, etc. So how accessible do you want to be?
So I'm going to have a deal with the public, with the voter, which is I'm going to try to improve your life, and your deal of this is you're going to make sure I do my job. That's how it should be. So I'm going to organize. So I'm still going to have weekly surgeries where people can book appointments to come and speak to me or my staff about problems and help and support they need. That's going to happen anyway. But many people don't want to make an appointment. Many people haven't got a problem they want to talk about. They just want to ask a question. So I'm going to hold 10 meetings every year, public meetings in a public hall, and we'll change the location every month to make sure everyone can get to the venues. And anyone can just turn up to ask me questions. Why did you vote that way in Parliament, Nick? I'm disappointed in that. Why weren't you in Parliament for that vote? Why do we never see you in the area? So whatever questions they've got, they can ask me. I may have answers for them. I may not have answers for them. But we need to get to a stage where politicians really understand that they're public servants, and the public are their boss. And as a boss, you want to make sure your staff are doing as they're told, and you want to be able to speak to your staff. And they need access to me. They need unfettered access to me. Hence why those 10 meetings a year. And those meetings are going to be very uncomfortable. And I actually don't want to do them. But if I'm not going to do them, I shouldn't be trying to get the job. So those people, those voters of Gorton and Denton, and also bits of Burnage, Longsight and Levenshulme, are all in this area as well, need to be able to hold me account. Otherwise, I'm just like every other politician who's full of it.
So Andrew Gwynn, the reason why it's come about is because Andrew Gwynn, I think on the 22nd of January, stood down, hence the by-election, and hence why they're rushing to have that by-election. There's also other things that have been going on in the background, and I totally hear what you're saying when people everyone's descended. We're a little bit fed up with this, but you are really pushing to say I am local. This is important to me. So Nick, what are the in one sense is not the priorities are, you've talked about meeting with people. How do you have a vision to say, how do we get jobs back? What is specifically needed? What are the skill levels that are being just thrown away within that area?
See, good question. And a political answer would be, I'm going to promise this, I'm going to promise that, I'm going to go to Parliament. And the truth is, one MP can do nothing on that at all. You're just shouting into the wind. So I'm not making those super pie in the sky promises that I'm going to bring jobs to the area. Only a government can do those things. If you're in government, you may have a chance, but most governments mess it all up anyway. So my campaign isn't about those huge pie in the sky policies. My policies are all local things that I can do with hard work and determination, that I don't need new laws. I don't need new money. I don't need the councils on board. I don't need permission from Parliament. And even though some of these things may seem small in the grand scheme of things, but if we're going to start improving this country, and if we're going to start improving Gorton and Denton, we've got to start somewhere. And 5 small things is better than 2 big things that there's never a chance in hell of delivering. So I'm not promising to fix the NHS. I'm not promising to close the borders. I'm not promising to tax the wealthy, because there's some of the promises being made at the moment. I'm promising on starting on day one a local grooming gang inquiry. So I'm promising that on day one. I'm promising an anti-knife crime project to work on the streets that I'll part fund with my MP salary. I'm talking about holding the councils to account, because they spend millions of pounds of our money and waste most of it. I'm talking about starting up a hotline where council staff can report wasted incompetence to me and send me evidence, and I'll use the press to embarrass them to be better. I'm talking about getting senior police officers monthly meetings, public monthly meetings, so the local people can tell them their priorities. So they stop knocking on doors saying, you said something hurt you on Facebook. Well, that's not my priority. My priority is rape, sexual assault, burglary. That's knife crime. That's my priorities. I'm sure that's everyone else's priority, but it doesn't seem to be the police priority. And we're going to hold them accountable because, again, they've forgotten they work for us. And then the 5th point is people holding me accountable. So that's the 5-point plan I'm going to initiate. That I'm at 100%. I can guarantee all 5 of them with no new laws, no new powers, no new money, with nothing. I can get all them done. That's surely better than a pie in the sky promise that's never going to be delivered.
Sounds good to me, my friend. It really, really, really does. So, Nick, we're recording this, let's just be honest, on Sunday. As you said, that vote is coming in fast. We've already had the postal votes. That is another long discussion in what we need to do with that system. So how will the next few days be playing out for you? What are you going to be up to?
2 things: as much press as I can get. I spend half my time online. I'll be doing all that, trying to reach people through Facebook and all those apps. I've got teams of people door knocking, delivering leaflets, and they're the 2 arms we're using at the moment. It's just about raising awareness. When we meet people and we speak to people and we tell them about me and what we're going to do, 50% of people walk away going, I'm voting Nick Buckley. So it's about speaking to people.
Because they then think, as you said, I've got someone I can relate to here. Someone who actually genuinely knows the area. They can look it up. When someone's turning around and saying, I was in that park as a young boy, don't tell my mum, don't tell my relatives, all these wonderful, that was hilarious, all these wonderful links with that area, that genuinely appeals to people. So Nick, is there any further thing that you want to just reiterate, just to say, in regard to what you want to do for that amazing area?
For me, it's, anyone watching this, please share it. If you've got family and friends living in the area, phone them up, speak to them, tell them about me, tell them to look into me. They can't vote for me if they don't know I exist. So they need to have a look at what I'm about. But for me as an individual, I'm just plodding along now. We've got, today's Sunday, we've got 4 days to the election. I'll just be banging on about being a local candidate, doing local stuff, improving the local area, and trying to show that the other candidates are not local, and it's all about politics for them. This by-election is being used, like all by-elections, as a political football. If Reform UK win, well, they have 9 MPs instead of 8. Still can't do anything. If the Greens win, they have 5 MPs instead of 4. Still can't do anything. And regardless if Labour win or lose, they've still got a super majority and can still do whatever they want to do. So nothing changes, but something could change in Gorton and Denton if you get the right candidate, if you get someone to focus on Gorton and Denton. So my advice to people in Gorton and Denton, alongside Burnage and Levenshulme, would be a little bit selfish. Put yourself first, your family first, your street first, and vote for someone who's going to improve your life, your family's life, and your street's life.
Nick, thank you. I just want to thank you so much for joining me, and I'm gonna end it there because your words are excellent, and there's no way that anyone can better that. I wish you all the best and rooting for you, and we'll be watching events over the next few days and then what happens on Friday. So thank you so much. I'm going to play us out. Stay there on the other side and I'll officially say goodbye. But thank you, Nick.
Thank you.